Well, a second wild bird has tested positive for the deadly H5N1 bird flu strain in Western Australia, raising concerns the virus could spread further. Now, like many countries in Asia, Cambodia has experienced serious outbreaks of bird flu this year, with one case of human infection there. Erik Karsson is the head of virology at the Pasteur Institute of Cambodia and joins me now from Phnom Penh. Erik, good to have you with us on the program. So now, firstly, I wanted to get your assessment of what's happening here. Two confirmed cases of H5N1 in Western Australia. How serious is this for our country, as particularly with the poultry industry?
So thank you very much for having me tonight, and I'm glad to be here. In terms of the seriousness of the situation, it's critical at this point to understand what is going on. So, oftentimes the first detection doesn't necessarily mean that that's the first infected bird, right? So, really it's important now for authorities to get out and understand whether these are, early cases or early sentinels, or if it's evidence of a wider circulation. At the current time, it does not seem to be massively impactful for the poultry population in Australia. However, there are a number of biosafety and biosecurity protocols that can be enacted that will allow the poultry sector and people to remain safe from the virus.
So can we expect that there would be many more birds that have been infected by now?
That's unclear, right? And that's what I think Australian authorities and other people need to actively be working on and doing active surveillance. There is virus all over the world. This virus affects a lot of birds as well as marine mammals and things like that. And maintaining active surveillance at these points of human, animal, and environmental interfaces are absolutely critical.
Yes. So, of course, there have been significant outbreaks across Asia this year alone. So I suppose the question is, where could the infections in Western Australia have come from? Or is it too hard to tell at the moment?
Well, that's really what we're trying to figure out at the moment. People are working very, very hard, constantly, 24 hours, to try to sequence these viruses, to understand the connection between the viruses that they detected in Western Australia with the ones that they recently detected in Heard Island, as well as other places in the world, so they can connect those dots together to find out where that virus may have come from.
Yes. So in Cambodia, where you are, Erik, we have, there are reports that there was the one case or the first case of human infection there this year. How did that human infection occur? And could that happen here in Australia?
So we've had about 38 cases of H5 here in the past 3 years. All of these generally occur when people are interacting very closely with sick or dying poultry, many times in backyard situations, small farms, where they're handling sick or dying birds. So it's critical to understand that individuals who see these kinds of sick or infected birds do not touch them, call the authorities immediately, and do not get close to them, and quickly have the appropriate response to those potential sick or carcass birds.
Yes. So in Western Australia, they have gone to the lengths of, major poultry firms shutting down their operations to prevent the outbreak from spreading to other parts of the country. Is that an adequate safeguard measure to prevent bird flu spreading to other species across other parts of the country and ultimately, perhaps as was the case in Cambodia, human infections?
Well, Australia is particularly interesting because you have a lot of species and a lot of animals that are maybe not experienced with this virus and are particularly susceptible, especially a lot of unique wildlife and things like that. So it's particularly important to make sure that we are protecting not only the poultry sector, but also the wildlife sector as well, and people. So there's a number of things that the authorities and the businesses can do. One of those is shutting down the farms. Another one is, of course, making sure that wild birds and other things are not interacting with the poultry by using physical barriers or other things. They can also prevent the virus from coming in on commercial trucks or by other people visiting farms. But the more that we can do to prevent it to get into a large population like the poultry sector, the less chance there will be for any kind of spillover into humans, for sure.
Yes, and if someone, how would someone know if they may or may not have contracted the human strain of bird flu? What are the symptoms? What would people be looking out for? And are there treatments for it, for at least this particular strain?
Well, I would say that would be very, very rare in the case of Australia. I do not think that that's a major risk at the current time. However, if people do handle or come across sick or dying birds, of course, they should immediately report that to appropriate authorities. Wash their hands very quickly. Try not to touch your hands, nose, and mouth. And if you do come down with any kind of flu-like symptoms, so coughing, sneezing, in rare cases, severe respiratory infection, please go to your doctor immediately and tell him that or her that you have interacted with any kind of sick or dying wildlife. But there are drugs that are capable of fighting this virus. The thing with those antivirals, they're called neuraminidase inhibitors. They have to be administered very, very quickly. Okay. So we need people to be going to the hospital and reporting as soon as possible so that we can get them the appropriate treatment and adequately healthy again.
Yeah. And what can you tell us, Erik, about this particular strain, H5N1?
So H5N1 has been around for a long time. Going back to about 1996 and then spreading all over the world. It's been in Asia, especially Southeast Asia, since 2004, 2005, and we've had to deal with it here for a long time. We know a lot about this virus. That's why we have antivirals and things that work. And then the virus started spreading around the world a lot more back in 2020. So now it's basically gone all the way around the world to Europe, to North America, South America, come back around to Antarctica, and now has shown up on the shores of Australia, which was the last continent that we had not detected yet.
And finally, Erik, some groups here have warned of possible bird extinctions due to this outbreak. Do you believe that to be the case, and can this be prevented?
It's very, very critical that we keep this virus under control. It can cause mass mortalities in nesting birds, especially wild water birds. So especially for conservation purposes, as well as the poultry sector, it's critical that we keep up active surveillance and prevention and control for these viruses.
Okay, Erik Karsson, really good to get your expertise on this. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Have a good night.